As soon as you step through the gate of heavenly peace, you're in the Forbidden City. The Forbidden City is really a series of pavilions, and each pavilion is increasingly more intimate for as far as the emperor is concerned and who he's talking to. The first thing that you see once you pass through the first pavilion is a little canal with 5 marble bridges over it. Beyond that is the next pavilion. Each one of these pavilions the emperor might use to address his subjects. And each courtyard indicates an increasingly close relationship to the emperor. The ceilings of all the pavilions are completely painted. You walk directly from one pavilion into the next. Notice the stairway in the center leading up to the pavilion. That stairway is used by the people carrying the emperor. They walk on the steps and his litter goes over the carved marble slabs. This is one of the throne rooms. Each one of the pavilions, or most of the pavilions, have throne rooms in them. If you look closely, though, you'll see a lot of dust and debris in the air. It was a very windy day, and I was told that that was being brought in from the Gobi Desert. This is another throne room in a pavilion further back than the one that you just last saw. We're getting back to the living quarters now. In this pavilion there's a throne room, but you see those Chinese characters up at the top? That's where the emperor's will was kept, I was told. Most of the pavilions are pretty empty of furniture and furnishings. But as you get further back, there's more furnishings to take a look at. For example, this closet has some very nice carving on the outside of it. And as you look around this particular room, there are still some artifacts to be seen. This is a water basin. There were water basins in a number of different places. I assume one of the reasons for all the water basins was because these buildings are mostly wood. That's a crane, and it indicates longevity, and it's always there near the throne. This building was a little bit different. This is where the marble cylinder seals are kept. Each one of those shrouded containers has a marble cylinder seal in it. Finally, we're leaving the imperial living quarters and state quarters to go back to the imperial gardens. These are far more intimate than anything you've seen so far. Most of the trees that you see are either junipers or some kind of beech. Just north of the Forbidden City is the old drum tower, which used to be the way people relied on to keep the time of day. You can get a good view of the city from the top of the drum tower. You can see a lot of things, including the traffic. But one of the things that you might have found interesting just a second ago was McDonald's. There's over 100 of those in town, but McDonald's isn't the only place. Near where my hotel was, there was A&W Root Beer, and about ready to come up to DQ, and that DQ does in fact mean Dairy Queen. And beyond the Dairy Queen there, you can see a Pizza Hut. And then beyond the Pizza Hut, there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket way out there in the distance. Anyway, back to the drum tower. From the drum tower, you can also see the bell tower, which is just north of it. But the reason we came to the drum tower was because the old drum has a very interesting sign nearby it, and I got the words there down at the bottom. And in addition to that, there was a demonstration, a drum demonstration that just started this year. This picture was taken just a little bit before dawn, and it's a cathedral. It's called the North Cathedral. There is a South Cathedral, and it's probably about the only Gothic style buildings in town. Both cathedrals are still very much in use. The South Cathedral is Jesuit, I know. From the cathedral, I next went to the Temple of Heaven, which is really a complex of buildings. Most of the people that are in the park are doing their morning exercises like these folks. Beyond them, there's a series of structures which are part of this particular park. We're coming up now on the building you should find most familiar. It's actually behind a building that you were looking at there that was shadowing it. This is the interior of the temple. The next place that we're going is the Summer Palace. That's a little island out in the middle of a lake, and the bridge that's connecting it is called the 17 Arch Bridge. This is the newer Summer Palace. The old Summer Palace was destroyed as a result of the Opium Wars and the Boxer Rebellion and so forth. We're going to be going down what's called the Long Corridor. My guess is the Long Corridor may be about a mile long, and it parallels the lake edge. Every inch of the Long Corridor is painted, much like what you see. This is a ceiling once again. Going to be going now from the Long Corridor and its work, and going to take a look at some folks doing some exercises in the next scene. When the old summer palace was destroyed, and they decided to build this new summer palace, which covers something over 600 acres, I believe, they took the money from money that had already been appropriated for the Chinese Navy. So as sort of a nod to the fact that there's a funding violation here, they built this marble barge. Now, up above the pavilions that are on the lake shore, there's a very large Buddhist temple. It's very prominent. Probably the best view of the summer palace in an overall sort of way can be made from the Buddhist temple. But even so, even this view of the grounds really only gives you an idea of what something substantially less than half, perhaps even less than a quarter of the summer palace might look like. Right across the street from my hotel, there were several interesting places to see. One of them was the Beijing Zoo, and we'll see that in a second. But another one was exactly right across the street, and that was the Paleontological Museum. This pocketbook was in the museum, and you can see that it has a very nice modern look, but in addition to that, it's made out of birch bark. The other thing that I found really interesting was this skeleton of a mamenchisaur. Mamenchisaur has a very long neck and relatively short tail. It's not so clear in this museum exactly how dramatic that is by looking at this skeleton, perhaps. But when they do the computer animations of this animal, it's really quite remarkable. It's endemic only to the Asian areas. Now, from the Paleontological Museum, the next place I'm going is to the Beijing Zoo, which is really right across the street. The Beijing Zoo has all those things that you would expect, big cats, elephants, and it has a brand new hippopotamus building. In this case, the hippopotamus is behind glass as opposed to behind bars. Next is a rhinoceros, and the remarkable thing about the rhinoceros is the horn. Take a look at those horns and the way that they've gotten themselves intertwined. Now next we go to someone who seems to find me almost as interesting as I find him. Now of course what you come to the Beijing Zoo to find is pandas. These are the red pandas, the lesser pandas. We're going to see great pandas in a second. I understood that the Beijing Zoo had as many as 7 giant pandas, but I only saw about 4 of them at any one particular time. In any event, these lesser pandas were quite interesting. In a minute we're going to see that 2 of them start getting themselves involved in some sort of fracas here. Now inside the panda house, the pandas are behind glass, and the glass is fairly dark. I assume that that's to help protect the pandas from a little too much stimulation. Fortunately, there is a better way of getting a view of the panda. They have an outside area, and the pandas are frequently in that area. It's generally my impression pandas are pretty low energy. The next place we're going is to the Ancient Observatory. Now there's a couple of reasons we're going there. couple of reasons that I'm going there. It happens to be up on the old city wall. When the emperor discovered what great scientists the Jesuits were, he threw his Muslim advisors out and replaced them with Jesuits. But that's not the only reason that I'm here. Just to the north of this site were the former Imperial Examination Halls. There were 8,500 brick cells where every 3 years candidates were locked up for 3 days and 2 nights to take the first stage of the civil service examination. That reminded me so much of the bar examination that I had to come over. These things were in operation for over 2,000 years, and the examinations ceased in 1900, and the halls were finally demolished in 1913.